So strength 5, AP -1 and mortal wounds on 6s. Will this be enough to get striking scorpions over the line of being good? Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're talking about some more Elite Eldar rules. As we've talked about in a fair few videos already, it seems that really quite a lot of the Eldar playtest codex has leaked a bit early, so we've got some very nice teasers of rules to come. Compared with at least some armies, really quite a lot of the profiles seem to have changed. In particular, all of the aspect warriors seem vastly improved, in my opinion going from fairly underwhelming to warriors you'd really fear to face on the battlefield. As per normal with these, I wouldn't be too surprised if Games Workshop do make some tweaks before the actual final codex release, but I do suspect the vast majority of these rules are going to represent what finally comes out for the Eldar. Going back to today's subject though, striking scorpions in 8th and 9th edition haven't been all that overwhelming. They're 13 points per model currently for just 2 strength 4 attacks, getting exploding 6s and a very small chance of a mortal wound per model, but it's really not quite good enough to make them even that great against light infantry, let alone all the other big nasties that you might be facing. In general, if people did want to go for one of the foot melee aspect warriors, it would generally be Howling Banshees over them. Even then I wouldn't say that Howling Banshees have an amazingly strong stat line, but at least they have some really interesting abilities like Advance and Charge, Ignores Overwatch, and weapons with a decent AP, meaning that perhaps the best use for small squads of striking scorpions at the moment is literally just a deep strike to do actions and get in table quarters. For that role I think they weren't too bad, maybe bringing a little bit more threat and durability to the table compared with things like Swooping Hawks or Rangers perhaps. Still though, it doesn't really feel like the most fitting role for some of Kane's finest, so let's take a look at their new rules incarnation in this new Eldar playtest codex. First up, again with the Fire Dragons, it does appear that the striking scorpions probably aren't going to be escaping Finecast anytime soon. It does look like Eldar are getting a massive release this time, but to be honest with the sheer extent of their resin models that they have in their catalogue, I'm not too surprised that a few aspects haven't made it yet. I'm sure the time of the scorpions will come in later years. In any case, in this new codex they remain an elite choice, a slot that's potentially going to be a bit more crowded with things like Warlocks and Dire Avengers moving there, and they now cost a significant amount more points at 17 points per model, up from 13. Otherwise, the other points cost abilities you can pay for the unit are the Biting Blade for 5 points, 10 points for the Scorpion's Claw, and they should have a trio of Exarch abilities that we can buy in as well, though I don't know full details of those yet from the datasheet. 17 points per model is significantly more expensive, you're looking at 85 points for a bare-bones squad rather than 65, but it does look like their melee stat line has been drastically increased, now being far more of a generalist threat. Otherwise they have all the keywords and special rules that you'd normally associate with the Eldar aspect warriors in their new incarnations. They're core infantry, and they do have the Strands of Fate and battle focused rules. Strands of Fate perhaps being particularly relevant for them, as it might allow them to get much easier charges. Their stat line though has just been drastically improved. They still have a 7-inch movement, they still have weapon skill and ballistic skill 3+, strength and toughness 3, and their 3+ save. However, that 3+ armor save has been augmented by a 5+ invul, the same as the rest of the aspect warriors get, and that'll help them out against high AP weapons, but they've gone from 2 attacks to 3, and their Scorpion Chainsaw appears to give them an extra attack now, so typically the striking scorpions are going to be striking with 4 attacks each, rather than just the 2 that they have now. They might have gone up in points a fair bit, but they're looking like against most targets they're going to be something like triple the damage output, considering their boosted strength and AP. As per normal, the Exarch gets a bonus wound and a bonus attack, so he's going to be striking with a big 4 attacks on one model, and as normal he can take fancier kit. Wargear wise, each Scorpion is armed with a Mander Blaster, Shuriken Pistol and a Scorpion Chainsword. It does appear that they've lost access to plasma grenades here, though that's hardly the biggest deal. Definitely that main event is the Scorpion Chainsword boost. It's gone from strength 4 to strength 5 as it's now strength +2. It gets AP -1 base, and you get +1 attack every time you strike with it. That means a base squad is usually going to be throwing out 21 attacks, all at strength 5, AP -1 and damage 1. But that's also not all, because the models each get Mander Blasters, meaning that if your target isn't a vehicle or a monster, then wound rolls of a 6 also cause 1 mortal wound as well. Quite a nice little boost there, though typically not going to help them out against the heaviest targets, which to be honest are the ones that I think they'd struggle with the most. It does feel that they're really quite laser focused at being an anti-infantry melee squad as opposed to an anti-tank one. With those stats alone though, they absolutely shred infantry. They kill around about 9 of the new toughness 5 orc boys in a single round of combat, that's just for 5 of them, and aren't too bad against more heavily armoured targets. For example, they take around about 6 wounds off standard Space Marines. Again, that's really not too bad for a single fight phase for an 85-point squad. However, if you do want to be tangling with harder targets or elite infantry though, you're probably going to want to take one of the Exarch weapons, either the Biting Blade or the Scorpion's Claw. The Biting Blade is strength +2, so also strength 5, AP -2 and damage 2, but rather than getting +1 attack like you do with a chainsword there, you get +2 attacks, so the Exarch's typically going to be striking with 6. That's going to make him a bit of an elite infantry blender all by himself. Just by giving him that relatively cheap Biting Blade, you're up to killing around about 5 Space Marines on the charge, so quite significantly better against the elites there. If you're looking to get yet more spendy, you can upgrade to the Scorpion's Claw as well. That one's +10 rather than +5, and it gives you strength ×2 to 6, AP -3, and flat damage 2. To be honest though, I think just one extra pip of strength and AP actually probably aren't worth it compared with the extra 2 attacks, particularly if you're going to be paying 5 points more for the privilege. It just doesn't seem like the best trade-off really. I guess the Claw does incorporate a shuriken catapult, so you get one extra shuriken shot at range, but still based on this I'd rather have the Biting Blade I think. Finally, for special rules, and they have one called Advanced Positions, meaning that it looks like they might be swapping out their Deep Strike for a forward deployment type rule. That's going to add a lot more value to them in my opinion. It does mean that they could be both decent infantry blenders and also forward screens. If Eldar retain any sort of redeployment shenanigans, it could be massively powerful to have them up front and then maybe hopefully pull them back if you don't get first turn. Still though, setting up in the midfield is a massive win and another really big reason to take them. Finally, it does appear that Sustained Assault, which I believe is their Exarch power, is remaining. Unmodified rolls of 6s to hit generate one additional hit, so that's exploding 6s, typically going to be a 25% damage increase on the numbers that are talked about earlier. Looks like we'll be looking at about 6 Space Marines being taken down by a squad with a Biting Blade, though weirdly it does have a rule saying that the exploding 6s to hit can't benefit from the Mander Blasters rule. That one seems like a bit of a pointless restriction to me. It wouldn't exactly be very many mortal wounds. I do wonder if that's a rule that just hasn't quite been polished up yet. Back from a previous draft of the codex, maybe they had Mander Blasters getting 6s to hit cause mortal wounds instead, perhaps. Overall though, the Scorpions look vastly improved. Despite their invul save and 3+ armor, they're certainly still very fragile for 17 points per model, so they're still going to have to play in a very Eldar way, striking from the shadows and getting the first blow, as there's every chance they're just going to be removed directly in return after they hit you. I still think that despite the points increase though, this is a massive buff. They're just going to be so much more dangerous to light and medium infantry, rather than hitting with those rather weedy strength 4 AP0 attacks. Finally, going into rumours, it does appear that they will be getting 3 Exarch powers, each with a points cost, though I don't know whether that will be trading out for Sustained Assault, or if that will be in addition. In any case, it seems that they still retain a 15.1 called Crushing Blow. That one is one that they can access at the moment. I believe it's +2 strength on the Exarch's weapons currently. To be honest, even if it just retained it being just the same, it might still be tempting. A strength 7 Biting Blade with those 6 attacks could be very nice indeed. I think it might be a bit borderline though if it is indeed 15 points. In any case, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Would you play the Striking Scorpions if they're released like this? And how do you feel they're faring against the other leaks and rumours that we've seen so far? If you have been enjoying the videos, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, where I certainly hope to keep a fair few more Eldar videos coming. I'm looking forward to talking about all the news and rumours in the run-up to their codex. I'll certainly be reviewing their decks in full once it's out. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page, and that's how I can afford to make quite so many videos quite so regularly. If you are enjoying quite a bit, then any support is massively appreciated. It really does help keep these videos coming. Feel free to check out the link down in the video description if you're interested. I do try and give some decent rewards out for patrons, including seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.